Hey friends, welcome to the Empowered Homes Podcast. The purpose of this podcast is to grow strong families by connecting church and home. Today we got Meg in studio and special guest, Dr. Lana Rush.
I saw you hesitate to say doctor. You would never call me doctor in real life. And they're going to think it's weird that, like, you guys work together and you have to call him doctor? No. No one calls me doctor.
No, I just had to throw that out there.
Yeah.
Because I think that was the first time I've ever called you
Sure.
Lana Rush. I always
you
call
were doing
pastor.
this great introduction, and here I interrupted you, Bobby. Great job.
No, you're great. Lana Rush, I mean, I don't know how to talk about your fingerprints all over Empowered Homes. Empowered Homes wouldn't be here without you, your influence, your passion, your vision, and we're so excited to have you on the podcast.
You are very kind, and I promise you, if I wasn't here, Meghan and Bobby would have found a way to have Empowered Homes without me.
No. The drive and vision for families.
This is a dream come true for all of us. I'm so grateful to see what the Lord is doing, for sure. And honored to be here.
Yeah. So today we're going to talk about your new book. You've been all over podcasts and interviews all over, but we have to have you on ours. But I think there's some knowledge because we're on the inside.
Sure.
So we're going to kind of interview you for our audience that may not know anything about this. So it may be a little interesting interview.
Okay,
but
I'm ready.
We've been starting off our podcast a little different, a little lighthearted. We've had trending segments where we talk about trending. One of the biggest trends was what, Meg?
The Stanley. Do you have a Stanley
No.
water thermos or mug?
You don't have a Stanley?
I have cups. I have a cup. I drink water, but not with it.
You don't have a Stanley with the straw? Do you have one in the house?
No.
Lana doesn't have one?
No, Lana's the kind of person. We're talking about my wife, Lana. If a person pulls up to the stoplight next to us and he or she is in a really fancy sports car, she will intentionally look forward because she said, all they want me to do is look at that car. So I will not give them. I'm like, they're probably not paying attention to that. She said, well, I just will not. So something in her says, no, they want attention, I won't give it. So she's just enough contrarian. The Stanley's so big, she will never have a Stanley.
I love it.
I'm in that camp. I was the same way. Yeah.
And that was the point of our talking about it was our kids want these trends, but how do we shepherd their heart not to find validation or approval if I got to have the Stanley. No one's going to think I'm cool or whatever. And so
Gotcha. Okay, so it's trickled down. It's a cool thing for kids to have too?
Oh, man.
All right.
After Christmas.
Yes.
So how do you shepherd the kids' hearts, and then how do you shepherd my wife's heart, who has this spirit of, I will not, if everybody wants me to, I won't.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Different. So we did trending, but we also do random questions, and today I want us to do some would you rather. Oh. So if you're listening, I want you to just make a mental note of these questions so you can use these at mealtime. We'll talk about in a second.
All right.
So these are two great questions for you to use at mealtime. I'm going to ask both of you guys
Oh boy.
as we go. All right. Okay. First one. Would you rather be forced to sing along or dance to every song you hear?
Oh, would you like to go first?
I think I would dance.
Oh,
I would dance.
Both of you are singers. I thought this would be an easy one.
I know, but I would prefer to dance over singing. Yes.
You would prefer to dance over singing. So I thought this was a layup for you and for me. I would sing, and usually I do anyway.
Yeah.
To the annoyance of my family at times, I sing with every song.
Yeah. Singing, I think I would sing. Eric, what do you think? Singing?
Okay, all right.
I'd probably sing because you don't want to see me dance.
Okay,
it's just
that's fair.
And I'd sing real low because in this scenario, I control the volume too. Okay. So that's the first one. It's an easy one. I think the kids would love that one just to kind of talk about songs. And all right, second one. Would you rather, if you had a remote that controlled your life, would you rather only have a pause button or only have a rewind button for your life?
Pause or rewind?
Okay, that's an interesting question. Yeah. I would say rewind. I mean, pause you can do on your own. I mean, you might miss out on a little trickle of time, but rewind, you can go back in time. That's earth-shattering.
But what if it's like Zach Morris, Saved by the Bell, you hit the pause and everybody else freezes?
Oh, everyone else freezes, but you're not frozen.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So you can kind of do whatever when everything's paused. Steal the money out of the cash register or whatever. I don't know why.
Stealing.
All examples.
My brain went that way.
All right, edit, Eric. So, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
You're going to rewind. Still rewind.
I'm going to rewind.
Yeah.
Do you also have the correct answer?
I think I
No, I'm
would
just
rewind.
kidding.
No,
I'm
I
just
think
kidding.
I would rewind too. Yeah.
Rewind.
There's been times, you
Right,
say something and
sure.
you're like, play it back. I'm going to start over.
I would definitely need rewind, especially conversations at home with Jen, my wife. Like, let me just rewind that. You ever have those times where you're like,
Absolutely.
shouldn't have said that. So
Right.
easy win to hit the rewind button.
Absolutely.
And you can restart. So those are two fun questions to ask your kids at dinner tonight. So let's talk Restore the Table. Your brand new book came out this month, and we here at the church, we've got not just our church. How many churches do we have going through it?
We know there are a dozen churches in Katy and West Houston. Yeah. There are others doing parts of this around the region, and some who said we're waiting till the fall to do it. So it's kind of a growing list, but it's really exciting that other churches are joining forces there because this is something we can all agree with, and it's a great opportunity to share kind of a wonderful message with our community and other communities.
Yeah, so this is a big deal for you, but for us in our church right now, and we're super excited about this.
Yeah, that's right. We got a flyer in the mail from another church that had the sermon series on it, and I was just like, look at this, they're doing it too, and so it's so exciting to be joining the community with other people, and then we get to serve alongside you in terms of just being co-laborers in the gospel, and we get to serve under your leadership, and so we know a little bit about the book, but for our listeners who don't know, can you tell us the story? How did this Restore the Table book come about?
Well, you all know that my heart and my passion is for family, and a lot like you guys, when I get up early in the morning, that's what I'm thinking about and have for 30 years. When I got to Kingsland, we were looking for some catalyst to kind of get people involved, build one simple habit to get started early in my time here, maybe 18 months in. And so we thought, well, the table will be a good opportunity to just say everybody can kind of do this. It'll be a good habit. Everybody agrees it's a good idea. And it won't be earth-shattering, but it'll at least get them started on one habit. What we underestimated is the impact that one change made in a lot of our families. So we started to hear accounts of people who hadn't had real conversations with their kids in ages because they just didn't realize that they were so distracted, but they hadn't sat down, looked face to face. Kids started to share things they hadn't with their parents in the past. The parents started to discover things they didn't know. Marriages, in some cases, were strengthened tremendously. And we also found that there was this evangelistic component where people were welcoming others to the table that we didn't even put as a part of the challenge the first time. And so we recognized we were on to something that really lasted far after that simple 40-day challenge, so much so that it's sort of become a mantra around Kingsland. Like, why don't you share at least 5 meaningful meal times a week with the ones you love? And when somebody comes to visit Kingsland, we send them a packet and we say, hey, if we never meet you again, here's one simple habit we think could change your life. That's how important it's become, just from that one little series. And so it's hard to get off your mind when you recognize the impact that it can have. And that's where kind of the book was born.
Yeah. And for us, I think my family, if I'm being honest, we've kind of, when you talk about walking on the road as you lie down in Deuteronomy 6, mealtime for us has just always been a struggle. We got feral children who won't sit still, and Chapman, he's my youngest. And so we kind of got away from like, all right, we're forcing this, and we're frustrated. And it happens so fast, and mealtime has been a struggle up until this last week. We finally, I think we arrived. We had amazing meal times this week. The kids sit the tables at the dinner. They're excited about it, and so we've tried to leverage other times with the kids for discipleship. But we are experiencing now just the power of the table. And we ate outside last night, and the kids went around, and my daughter said, "We share your sweets and sours," and I was like, "What is a sweet and sour?" Your high or low. What's your sweet part of your day? What's the low part of your day or sour part of your day? And they're initiating this, and we're having conversation, and then they fight over who prays for the food. And then a few nights ago, my son was like, all right, one person not in our home that we can pray for. Mm-hmm. And so we named people, and we prayed for them by name. And it's just been an amazing thing that we've struggled with the table, but now we're seeing like, man, it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. You mentioned the challenge,
right?
And we've kind of alluded to it. Explain the challenge in the book, early on, you jump right into the challenge.
Absolutely. So when I talk about 5 meaningful meal times a week with the ones you love, of course, that begins with your family. The reason we use that language is we don't want to exclude someone who might live alone in this season or empty nesters or something like that, because it's equally important for you to find people to dine with. I think it's important. You look at the early church, and they were breaking bread together from house to house. Yes, they were observing the Lord's Supper, but it seems that they're sharing meals as well. And so find some people intentionally to do that. And likewise, if you have a family and maybe you know someone who lives alone, welcome them to the table once or twice a week so that you can be a part of those meaningful meal times. That's it, really. Yeah. The second part of the challenge, as I said, is we're challenging our people to find 3 people outside their normal circle and welcome them to one of those 40 meals or those 30 meals over, what would it be? 30 meals over 40 days, 5 a week, basically 6 weeks. So 3 meals. Welcome somebody to the table. And then we have one culminating meal we're calling a community table that we're inviting all of our people to share in their neighborhood, cul-de-sac, apartment complex, et cetera. So that's it. And it depends on the perspective. Some are saying that's a mountain to climb, and others are saying, well, we're already eating. So you can do this. I mean, anybody can do this for 40 days at least, and I think you'll find it's something you never want to go back on.
Oh, yeah. Definitely. Yeah. And I love that, the way that meals can reach, you've talked about how meals can kind of reach through gaps, right? Culturally and to bring your neighbors into something that is easy to come into, right? It's not intimidating, and we can share meals with anyone who are already doing it, and I know you've talked in the book about the impact that meeting people internationally, how that's blessed you, and going so far as to saying like 5 meaningful meals that can change the world. Can you tell us, what?
Absolutely. So I begin the book telling a story about a time in Somaliland, East Africa, a couple of years ago with some members of our mission team. We were dedicating a school in the nation. This is a nation that's almost 100% Muslim, if not 100%. We have made no secret about our being Christians, but we have the shared value of education, so they've allowed us in to do that. Obviously, we want to share the love of Christ with these people, so we dedicated the school. They were a bit standoffish. To make a long story short, we went and shared a meal afterward. And it didn't take long before we were sharing pictures of our children, and we were talking about why they got involved in the area of government they got involved in, what we do. And we left that table as friends. We just dedicated the second school. Proud dad moment is it's the Lana Rush Special Education Center, so it's named for our youngest daughter. But there is a friendship now formed, a partnership that extends beyond just the formality of education. And I predict that there are going to be multiple schools in that difficult place to do ministry or anything else. And we're going to see some turnarounds in that country where people fall in love with Jesus. And I don't think it would have happened without the meal.
Yeah.
More recently, this last Friday evening, we had the second meal with our cul-de-sac neighbors, where we actually met at a restaurant. It just worked for us this time. We'll have a picnic next time in our cul-de-sac. But right now we met at a Cajun food restaurant. Our neighbors from Louisiana chose that. We gathered in 2 round tables so we could hear everyone, so it wasn't so large you couldn't. And we shared our stories. We've done that twice now. And the funny thing, or the really cool thing, is we're not the ones initiating it any longer. It's other neighbors saying, remember, we have a meal coming up in a couple of months, because they know this is just a part of who we are. And we have, like so many others in Katy, West Houston, where we live, like you guys, it's so international and diverse. Our neighbors next door are Hindus from India, wonderful people. Their neighbors are Anglican from UK. Their neighbors are from China, don't have a religious background. Their neighbors are from Houston, and their neighbors are from Louisiana, which is basically a foreign country, if we're honest. I think people from Louisiana would probably agree with that. Yeah. We had some neighbors from Russia that have recently moved, but we have a chance to come together. What on earth would we have in common? But we all share the value of family, and we all share the value of food. Yeah. And so it works.
Yeah, beautiful things happen. I know we've shared a lot of barbecue over the years.
Amen.
But something's not magical, but it's special when you sit across eye to eye, knee to knee, and share a meal. And especially, I love to cook, and so there's something special when someone's trying my food, and I get great joy and pleasure out of it.
Yeah.
And it is a powerful bridge builder.
Yes.
And
not only for our neighbors, but going back to the home, because I presume people who are listening to the Empowered Homes podcast, they care deeply about their family. They're saying, well, we already meet with our kids and talk about these things, but I'm telling you, there is no greater and more impactful locale to do this than the table. I'm more convinced than ever. The studies, extra biblical scientific studies talking about meals with families continues to grow and support this, but the scriptures said it all along. When you sit around a table, there's something so natural about that, and I'm telling you, when you have a conversation about deep things of God or controversial things in the culture or awkward things that kids go through, and you sit in the living room, that's a different conversation than when you sit over a meal where you have something to do, something to share, and you say, hey, tell me about this. What's going on in this area of your life? And I've seen it over and over, saw it with our own kids who are now grown, but we see it all the time.
Yeah.
So for the listener going, I didn't grow up, and like some of my story, the kitchen table, the dining room table it's a foreign concept that for some may bring back wounds or bring back some past history. I know you talk about that in the book too. Of maybe speak to the listener that's like, man, like I've got so much stuff from my past that we're not doing a good job with mealtime right now, and I don't even know where to start. How would you help encourage and direct them? Yeah.
You know, Meghan and Bobby, the title "Restore the Table" makes sense in face value of, hey, we want to bring back or elevate the importance of the table, but there's also a double meaning in the sense that we're restoring the heart of the table and what it means. Because some people, it's really broken down. I mean, there's a lot of bad memories around the table, as we share in the book, and as we all know from just serving people in church life. But those can be redeemed. I mean, that extends beyond the table, but it's true for the table just as it's true for your life and your family. You have the opportunity to reverse the curse and extend the blessing. And your heritage does not need to be your legacy. And those two don't have to be the same. And for many people that we know, many people on our leadership team here at Kingsland, that's the case. They've been the one who's going to be the first generation to turn the tide and change it. And so when you come back to the table and say, this is not what I knew, what I experienced, but I know that when I bring God's promises to this place, this can be a place of meaningful connection and transformation in my home.
Yeah, it's powerful. And I remember as a kid watching TV shows and watching, Family Matters and sitting there eating around the table. And I remember going, I want that.
Right.
And now I get to redeem my current family, and we get to do that.
So
I get to be that for my kids, which I watched on TV wishing I had. Yeah. And that's the power of the table. It's amazing. So with that, we gave some would you rathers that are easy conversation, but you have some resources too that we put together with this.
Absolutely. So even if you don't have the book, you can go to restorethetable.org, and we've tried to give you all the tools necessary to begin the challenge, at least, including some conversation cards. And so you can digitally download those right at home. There are also some in the back of the book, Restore the Table, that you can take. And I made a point to not put hundreds, and here's why. I think there may be 30 in there. Would y'all agree that once you get your family thinking about conversations like that, you don't need them anymore? Mm-hmm. So if you can do 30, all of a sudden you'll say, okay, what are we going to talk about tonight? The point is that you have a common conversation, and you don't have to go a mile deep. You're just taking it past the small talk. That's all. Yeah. So, for example, one of the questions in there was, I think, if you could be any age, go back to any age or be any age, what age would you want to be? I mean, that's pretty common. I think y'all have used that before. But that's, simple question that you could do. There's many of those on the website and in the book that you can take, and it just gets you talking. And I promise you, if you'll just use one question like that, you're not going to want for things to say. I have yet to meet the family that said, we used the discussion question and then we all stared at our plates for the next hour. It's not how it works.
Right.
Yeah.
And our kids, they get excited and then they take over the questioning and then we get all kinds of questions. I mean, all bets are off. And so you just never know. But it is fun to see the growth and the relationship.
Yeah. And that's been the joy of just our family personally, of they're excited. Like this morning, we're getting ready for school and they're asking, what's for dinner? Because they're excited about having dinner together tonight, and we got mac and cheese and all kinds of fixings
Boom,
and stuff.
yeah.
And so that's even more exciting because that's one of their favorite meals. But to see just Jesus take heart, like just to see Jesus in them and working in them, it's like real time at the table, and it's amazing that we get to be a part of it.
Yes.
And so what was the website again?
RestoreTheTable.org. If you get it wrong and say .com, it still goes to RestoreTheTable.org. So you can't go wrong.
Either one. That was my question. I always mess up the .com.org.
Yes. All roads lead to
all of it.
Restore the Table. Yeah.
Yeah. Just search Restore the Table.
Absolutely.
You'll find it. There's plenty of places to grab a copy of the book too. It's everywhere.
Yes.
It's on every major. What is it? You have a preference or point people to a preference?
Of what?
Seller, like
Amazon.
No.
Amazon, Barnes & Noble, ChristianBook.com, they're all there.
Yeah.
Somebody said they got it at Target the other day, Target.com. So I'm like, I didn't know that existed.
Yeah.
So I'm not endorsing Target.
Yeah, Target. Hey.
Kind of the same colors.
Yeah.
That's funny. So I have to tell y'all, when I think about your families, first of all, one of the things we did is rather than put endorsements by kind of a who's who on the back, we just asked church kids to share what family meals meant to them. And that's one of my favorite things about the book. Yeah. So Lively, for example, is 3 years old, and she said, and I quote, "My favorite part of eating together is spaghetti and meatballs." Is there a greater book quote on planet Earth? So anyway, those are fun. And Sunday morning at Kingsland, where we all are part of what God's doing here, it was All Generations Sunday. We had a big choir, and my seat down front, I had right in front of me Ryley Landy, and I had Chapman right there. And so when you say you have wild kids, I just don't believe you. They were saintly. They were wonderful, singing, passionate.
Getting after it. It was so fun to watch.
So that we had all generations. We had a youth choir up there too. In the last service, I go up behind the choir risers to get ready to preach. We're wrapping up. A lot of kids. 150 people probably on the stage had to get down. So Logan Landy, Meghan's oldest son, comes up to me, and he says, "Hey, Pastor, you got this." He goes, "Good luck," and he fist bumps me. I'm like, thanks, Logan.
Yeah,
very
I didn't know he did that.
Yeah. You got this. Great. Good luck. Yeah. Thanks, Logan.
Yeah, I could see Logan doing that for sure.
It was so great, man.
Yeah.
Like,
Regulate.
The can-do guy, man.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So y'all are doing pretty good.
So, Pastor, man, thank you for just your leadership and leading us out and wanting to impact homes. And this book is going to influence and impact not just here, but all over the world, and we're grateful for you, man.
Well, I'm grateful for both of you and for our Empowered Homes partners, around the world and what they're doing. As you guys know, that this is more Kingsland's book than my book. We're telling the story of a lot of homes that have been transformed that we've gotten to have a front row seat to. And one of the things I love about this book, because of the way we've navigated this, 100% of anything that's raised, not like proceeds beyond a percentage, 100% goes to missions. And so there's going to be other families around the world who wouldn't have otherwise been able to go to a table who now can. So it's kind of a win-win-win that gets me really excited.
Yeah, it's exciting. So website's restorethetable.org or .com, and you can get all the information there. Pastor, thank you for your time. We're so grateful for you, man.
Grateful for you too. Thank you.